Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Wednesday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios in the bunker in beautiful New Jersey and in the bunker in Chicago, Illinois, under all that snow and wind. That's where Vinnie Parise is. Yes, that Vinnie Parise of PucksandPitchforks.com. I'm your host, Sam Wu, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Vinny, how are you, my friend? It's a happy Devils Wednesday, isn't it?
It is a very happy Devils Wednesday. It wasn't a happy Devils Tuesday last night when they kind of got smoked by the Carolina Hurricanes on the scoreboard, but there were times in the game that they outplayed them, so it's another game where the Devils outplay their opponent, outshoot them, make their goalie look like Brodeur in their prime, but it is what it is. You lose. I mean, they've been losing a bunch in a row here, and they really need to stop the bleeding soon. I hope it's tonight against the Florida Panthers. There are a lot of things going their way in terms of the lineups, but I don't know. They need to just keep playing the way that they are. We always say, this was brought up to me today, if a team is winning in ways that you don't particularly want to be winning, you start to think to yourself, this isn't sustainable. They're going to eventually lose these games that they go down 3-0, and you can't make 3-0 comebacks every game. And kind of like how we saw last year, the ways they were winning in November weren't really sustainable. And it's like, okay, this is going to come crashing down at some point. The same could be said about losing. If you're losing a certain kind of way, you would eventually think that if you keep it going the way that you're playing, eventually you'll start winning some of those games. And I kind of feel that way about the Devils. If they play the way that they've been playing the last couple days, where they just need to start getting some saves again and maybe actually executing on a lot more of these shots instead of, like I said, making these goalies look like they're Brodeur in their prime, I think they'll start to win again. There's not going to be any Barkov for the Florida Panthers again. You know, he's been hurt since that last game against the Devils. We all know the Nico Hischier thing. Marino will be out for the Devils. So we'll see how this goes, but this is the type of game where you'd like to see the Devils just keep pushing.
Yeah, keep pushing. They should, Vinny. And I'm trying to do something right now for our viewers and listeners, and want to welcome in all those from YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch. But we have some exclusive footage from the last game against the Panthers. Exclusive footage of Nico Hischier, what he had to endure, and I'm going to play this footage. You want me to play this footage?
Play the footage.
I'll play the footage.
Assume the position.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Unbelievable. Mrs. Wu found that clip. I don't know where she gets this exclusive stuff, but it's an anonymous source sent that to us, and I can't believe it. Nico Hischier just taking it from the Florida Panthers.
That's funny. Well, hopefully he's able to come out of this game without asking for another paddle to the booty, because that's tough.
You know what? I was in a – I'm not going to name names, but I was in a conversation with two former Philadelphia Flyers, and we were talking a little puck, and on the call, they're like, well, our Flyers stink right now. Your Devils are doing well. I said, well, at least your Flyers are tough. At least they stick up for themselves. The Devils are a bunch of wimps. And they actually started laughing, like, yeah, they're talented, but yeah, and I want to see what's going to happen tonight. Will they respond? There should be a parlay on this bet. Will they respond? And I'm not talking about like cheap shots or fights or whatever. I'm talking about more than scoreboard. I'm talking about setting the record straight, setting the boundaries, because so far the boundaries are kind of the blueprint is out how to beat the Devils, clog up the neutral zone, and beat them into submission because they're not going to do anything back.
Yeah, and I find it funny that conveniently the Florida Panthers are inserting Radko Gudas back into the lineup tonight. And that's something to me. That means something to me. I'm like, you're putting him back in the lineup after what happened last time they played with the whole Nico Hischier thing. It was clearly an accident. There's a reason he got no supplemental discipline or anything like that. Like, Nico's a skill player. He's not a goon. Okay? He sticks up for his teammates, and he's probably the biggest and the most filled out of the stars on the Devils, I will say. You know, he's not Jack Hughes, who's a little twerp in a lot of ways. But, you know, Florida Panthers putting Gudas in we've seen Gudas throw hands. You know, you live in the metropolitan area. I watch almost exclusively the Metropolitan Division. So I've seen Radko Gudas back in the day when he was with the Philadelphia Flyers. I think there was a stretch of time where he was on the Dallas Stars. So I've seen him play against the Chicago Blackhawks in person. And this is a tough dude. This is a tough dude to play against. And if he's coming into this game with one thing and one thing only on his mind, it's going to be a long night for the Devils.
Now, do you think that they're going to cheap shot Nico Hischier? Do you think they're going to, you know, let's take a step back here, okay? Say if they're still not over it, and Nico Hischier is out for the year with a freak injury, you know, if they hit him from behind or whatever. I mean, that's big. I mean, that's the Devils' captain, this eye for an eye mindset mentality. If I were the Florida Panthers, I'll be honest, you got to move on. And what I mean by move on is, okay, you can be physical, but, okay, things happen, but it's not like this was a Tom Wilson type play. If anything, it was not to blame the victim here, but, you know, the way he had his stick, he kind of, you know, Nico fell forward. You know, if Nico really wanted to damage him, he would have done a lot. He could have done a lot more if he wanted to. But it almost seemed like he was trying to brace himself and try to avoid him, actually, if you really look at the slow motion replay.
Yeah, and I also think there's something to be said about the fact that Barkov is one of those guys that Hischier probably looks up to.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, because in a lot of ways they're the same player. Barkov's here, and Hischier's, well, probably here now, but he's getting there. And I think these two and a couple other guys around the league are going to be in that Selke Trophy conversation every single year. Barkov kind of did it. You know, they used to say when Barkov would play against Taves or Bergeron, like, this is the guy who can come up and be like those guys. Well, Nico's next in line after that. And, you know, so I really don't think Hischier did anything maliciously by any means in that game. It was literally like a freak play. Barkov's out. He hasn't played. He's going to miss tonight against the Devils. That's a huge loss. Do I think Florida's going to try and cheap shot him? No. But also maybe they are putting Radko Gudas in the lineup. I find that to be odd. But here's the thing for Florida. Who else is on that team? Who's their best player besides Barkov? Who's going to be the best player in the Florida lineup tonight? Matthew Tkachuk. That dude, he's a rat. He's like a skilled rat. He's like Marchand. He's basically Brad Marchand. They're the same type of player. They're elite offensive players that are just goons at the same time. And Tkachuk's going to be flying out there tonight. There's no doubt in my mind about it. And that's a problem for the Devils. They need to overcome it. Now, the thing for Florida, they're 15, 14, and 4. They're under 500 if you include the ties. They're one game over NHL 500. And they're 4 points behind the New York Islanders for the final postseason spot. They are a team that won the President's Trophy last year, had a bit of postseason disappointment against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They made that huge trade, probably one of the biggest trades I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The two 100-point guys getting flopped, and not a bad defenseman going back to Calgary either. But I think they need to worry more about winning than anything. They've been in a little bit of a skid. The Boston Bruins just smoked them 2 nights ago, 7-3. They made it look like child's play. And I'm just telling you, if I'm Florida, I'm more concerned about winning the game. You don't want to put the Devils on a 5-minute power play. You want to give Jack Hughes all that ice for 5 minutes? I wouldn't. The Devils, the only guy who was able to beat the last two goalies they played, or I guess two of the last three that were playing on fire, Carter Hart and Kochetkov of the Hurricanes. Jack Hughes made a sick play against both of them to score a goal. You don't want to give that guy extra time. So if I'm Florida, I'm being careful. But that doesn't always pan out that way sometimes.
Yeah. And sorry, I got something in my throat. So hold on a sec. Take over.
Sam's got something in his throat, so I got to take over like a rat trick. Speaking of the Florida Panthers.
Sorry. I'm still getting over this head cold, the lingering effects. It's look, Bill Spaulding took time off. We don't take time off here on the Let's Go Devils podcast. It's a triple header Wednesday. We got State of the Fan address at 8:30 p.m. Eastern running through the game. That's insane. But people still watch. And you never know. We'll be commenting during the game. Some people do that online. I've seen like a lot of YouTubers. They just like sit there and it's just like a Manning cast kind of thing. And then you got afterwards you got Devils After Dark, Scotty is Sirius XM, Liquid Metal, and I. And you know what? You try to toughen up. You try to gut through it. See, I'm trying to set example for the young kids on the New Jersey Devils. You can't be coddled here. You still got to do it.
And between me and you, we're on a total of 4 shows today. So the Devils hockey chatter and NHL chat amongst your 2 favorite hosts, Sam Wu and Vinnie Parise. I think when it's all said and done, it'll be like 8 total hours of. No, it'll be just a little less than that, like 6 total hours of hockey content. My hockey podcast went 2 hours today, and there was plenty of good New Jersey Devils conversation. So between that, State of the Fan address, the post-game show, Devils After Dark, with Scotty, who's going to break down the game as flawlessly as he always does, New Jersey Devils fans are luckier than a lot of fan bases.
Yeah, and we'll talk afterwards about talking a little baseball as well, because I woke up this morning, and I told you earlier today, I was like, next time that happens, Vinny, you call me in the middle of the night. I don't want to be surprised like that, like I'm the last to know, something like that.
I thought about it, Sam. I thought about it, but like, how would it have looked if I made a phone call at 2 a.m? Like, it's just
no.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, because actually, I read on Twitter some fans were like, I would have called my family, but anytime you call at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., it's usually an emergency, and they're already freaking out, so that's why I didn't call. And then I get yelled at because I didn't call at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. when I found out that the Correa had signed with the Mets. And that's just part of sports fandom, so to speak. Devils fans are crazy. Like, where were you when PK Subban was traded to the New Jersey Devils, or stuff like that? Or where were you waiting for 4 days when Zach Parise was trying to make a decision?
You know what's funny? I can answer both of those questions. I was out to lunch when the Devils acquired PK Subban, and when Parise was making his decision all those summers ago, I remember they ended the Stanley Cup final, and then it became Parise watch from that point on. The second they lost, the second the Kings hoisted the cup.
Yep.
And then it was 4th of July. I was getting ready to get my swim on at my cousin's house. And my cousin has a pool party every 4th of July back in the day. And so when Parise signed before, it ruined my whole day. I was like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to enjoy 4th of July at all. But you're right. And those things happen with hockey. Dustin Byfuglien was traded away from the Blackhawks at like 3 a.m. And so I do want my family to know that if something like that happens and it involves, and teams that I cheer for, Khalil Mack was acquired by the Bears at like 5:30 a.m. I was on my way to a college football game. Like, stuff like that happens. I always want to be informed. You people watching, you make sure you get in contact with me if something like that happens. I just so happened to be awake last night when all that went down with Correa, but it was fun. I enjoy things like that.
Yeah, you know what? And I still get mad about my friends back in 2003. 2003, Devils win the Stanley Cup, right? Back in those days, and this tells you how old, I had a StarTAC Motorola phone, right? Text messaging was still in its infancy. So I fell asleep. I got home from work. I went to bed early, like 8 p.m. The Stanley Cup was at Dublin Pub in Morristown, New Jersey. At 9 p.m. Instead of calling me, Sam, you got to come down here. The cup is here. They sent text messages. Like back in those days, we used to call each other. I probably would have been woken up to the voicemail that would beep, every, 2 minutes, beep, those old StarTAC phones. But no, they texted. And it probably cost me 5 cents back in those days per text. Anyway.
That's funny. That just goes to show what it was like. I mean, I think that's means for like punching all your friends in the face legally. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a promoter of violence, but if that happened to me, some friendships would be on the line.
Well, of course. It's like now you decide to text. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Back in the right C, so you put the letter C, A, B, C, It's not like today where we have we can instantly text each other. Anyway, that's just another story for another day. But Tony P, good friend of the podcast. Guy looks like Johnny Sack on Sopranos. This guy, he's a tough guy in real life. The guy that looks like Johnny Sack on Sopranos. But, he says, Kachuk going to do something dirty. Someone needs to low bridge him. Again, where is that fine line of there is no respect for the Devils' toughness right now. There's a respect for their talent, but there's no respect for their toughness. So teams are going to exploit that. And when you don't nip it in the butt early in the season, there was a blueprint. As a matter of fact, I probably could go back to previous podcasts after the first Devils loss against Nashville, that loss that, after streaking, I don't consider the Toronto game a loss just because that was just one of those things. But remember how tough the Devils played in that game? How physical that was? What happened to that team? Did they get banged up where they can't play like that anymore? What happened to that team?
I have one thing. They were playing against the Leafs, who might be one of the only teams in the NHL as physically soft as the Devils.
Could be.
They rely a lot on skill and finesse and creativity, just like the Devils. And listen, I believe there's a world where you can win a cup like that. If Austin Matthews has a couple playoff series in a row where he's scoring 3, 4, 5 goals a series, and William Nylander's doing his thing with Mitch Marner, they can win cups like that, I truly believe. But the Maple Leafs are not a physically imposing team, as neither are the Devils.
Wow.
In fact, the Devils might have them beat when Nathan Bastian and Andre Palat return. So.
Wow. Well, Vinny, let's see here. I didn't do the graphics, so I'm going to do it right now. So if you could stall a little bit, but we're going to go over predictions. Because you and I have been off. And I after the Damon Severson thing with the turnover, all that, not that I'm negative. I'm just being more realistic with the bets. So,
yeah, for sure.
But I got your
and
graphic.
You told me you wanted to stall, but the Devils have to play against a stall in back-to-back nights because I believe Jordan Stahl scored a goal last night for the Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm pretty sure Eric Stahl is on the blue line for the – no, okay. Jordan Stahl scored for the Hurricanes yesterday, and Eric Stahl is actually on the Florida Panthers. Not a lot of people even realize that. So they're playing the two Stahl brothers, two of the three Stahl brothers that are in the NHL on back-to-back nights. So that's my version of stalling, but I can give my prediction whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the betstamp.app money lines here because you're not going to like my pick. I think you probably know what I'm going to be picking. But
yeah.
But yeah, it's let me tell you. Okay. All right, I got it right here. So all right. Well, let's do the betstamp.app predictions. Everyone's going to, give you their opinion, their predictions, like Geeky Gamer Family, Devils win 3-2. Ramona Rice, 4-2 Devils. Keep the faith, people. Let's go Devils, says Ramona Rice. Anthony LaPena says 5-2 Florida. Yeah, I mean, which team is going to show up? Vinny, what are your thoughts?
I think there's value on the Devils. I really do. They're plus 110. They're an underdog for the second time in a row, for the first time in a long time. Yesterday, they were underdog at all for the first time in a long time. But, the Devils, like I said yesterday, one of those teams where they haven't earned enough respect, where a little slump won't be enough for the bookmakers. So they're going to continue being underdogs against some of these top teams, even though has had a significantly worse season than the Devils so far. Times are tough. They've lost a couple in a row. Plus 110, I found them using the BetStamp app on the DraftKings Sportsbook. I have them taking it by a final score of 6-3. You lost to Bob already once so far this season. He beat you last week. Go to school on it. Figure it out. They're not going to have Barkov tonight. You have almost your full complement of players minus John Marino and Palat and Bastion, but I'm talking that was in the lineup from yesterday. Go out there, find a way, win any way you can. If you got to get a dirty win where you don't outshoot them, but you go to the front of the net and you play dirty, like not dirty, but in the hard areas, go do it. If you're going to outskill them, go do it. Whatever it is you got to do, go score a couple goals. You can really make a statement with a big win here tonight and say, you know what? Yeah, that was a little slump. It's going to happen, but we're back, and we're going to go into this game against the Boston Bruins feeling good about ourselves, get a big win tonight against the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the opposite because they haven't shown. I mean, last night was another example of how would they respond. Kind of was like, 30 seconds in, I mean, Carolina barely did anything, if you think about it. The Devils did all the work. But as what one Carolina fan commented in the YouTube Live or in the YouTube channel, he paid compliments to the Devils. But you know what? The Panthers, I'm thinking of the other Carolina. The Hurricanes, they really just played a simple game. They didn't have to do much. So that's why I'm picking that the Panthers are going to win 5-2 through the DraftKings minus 130 because I can't risk my money on this team last 6 games. There's a reason for it. It's not that I'm negative, but this is about money. And money, keeps you honest sometimes. Yeah. So.
Sure does.
But yeah, Felix, Devils losing 4-2. But I think the Devils are going to give up a goal in the first 2 minutes of the game. That's just me. And that's where the sleepwalking is, and you can't be giving up goals to any teams that easily because the league is just too good right now.
Yeah, and it's always going to be going forward. This is the new way of this thing, so nothing's easy. We'll see what they're able to do. Yeah.
Well, want to thank all those listening in to this fine programming. Vinny, you and I will talk right afterwards. And just remember, State of the Fan Address, presented by pucksandpitchforks.com. Nick Villano, editor-in-chief of pucksandpitchforks.com. And I will talk Devils. I'm sure Nick's got a lot of opinions. Go to pucksandpitchforks.com for all your Devils needs. All right, so we're going to get out of here. Enjoy the game, everybody, and also Devils After Dark after the game. Scotty, a SiriusXM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. So be here, or be there, or be square. That's it. Anyway, I'll see you later, Vinnie. Stay warm out there. Be careful driving, everybody. Till next time, let's go Devils.